Warlocks are one of the most interesting classes in D&D, except when it comes to your turn in combat. Eldritch Blast again? Oh, how daring. Sure, other classes have deities they follow, but your relationship with the being who gives you power is, well, personal. It's dynamic, it's exciting. Unlike Clerics and Paladins, you aren't restricted to only the canon gods in your setting. Anyone with enough power can let you borrow some of theirs. This gives you a huge amount of room to be creative in who you pledge your allegiance to. So, Warlocks, who is your patron and what makes them unique? Tell us down in the comments below. Us D&D players can never really get enough. Whether you play 3 times a week or once a month, part of you always craves more. We get our fix however we can, by watching short stories online, D&D live streams, Baldur's Gate. Well, allow me to offer you something new. The best available follows a party of new adventurers trying to make a name for themselves in hopes of being sponsored in a competition. Waterdeep's Festival of Heroes, which sees the chosen parties delving into the depths of Undermountain, risking life and limb to suppress the evils and monsters below to protect the city above. The Dungeon of the Mad Mage is filled with danger, treasure, glory, and mysteries yet to be revealed. Come watch the journey from humble beginnings into heroic legend as we adapt a campaign years in the making into an illustrated web series with art from Doodle Poodle, author of Tales from the Tables. We pride ourselves in converting hours-long sessions into smoothly paced episode with limited animation, music, blood, sweat, and tears. Get in on the ground floor of something great and join the Forever DM's table today. Link in the description. I created a Great Old One Warlock. My original idea for it was just to be a kind of skill monkey character. But as I read the goo abilities and pact abilities, I formed a completely different character. I don't have a name for my patron, mind you, but the idea is that it feeds on knowledge, especially hidden knowledge. So, of course, my character now wishes to trade in knowledge. The more secrets I can get out of an NPC, or PC for that matter, or the more I can discover about forgotten histories, the more power I can feed to my patron. And, in turn, gain more power to reveal more secrets to feed it and gain more power to, well, you know. The halfling explodes in a shower of raw, amorphous knowledge. My Book of Shadows has the words, "How to Cast Friends and Influence People," embossed on the cover. I played a drow warlock, Great Old One patron before. She was a drow exiled from her noble house for forsaking Lolth, and was thrown out and expected to be eaten by illithids. However, something happened in which the power of her future patron awoke and then guided her out of the Underdark alive. It was because certain circumstances in her life and the life of her patron were in parallel. So, it was as if their destinies were intertwined. Her patron turns out to be an entity from the far realm hiding from certain beings out there, but is like a quasi-benevolent world serpent Ouroboros creature who learns about the outer worlds through her warlock. I might play an undying patron warlock someday. It happened to come across some Forgotten Realms lore about good-aligned liches, and I thought it might be an interesting idea for a patron to be one of them. In one of the 5th edition published adventures, one makes an appearance. I won't say who because spoilers, but it's a memorable encounter that confuses the lights out of many adventurers. The Undying Patron Warlock seems like someone slowly slipping into some state of quasi-undeath, which I like to interpret as your Warlock's patron actually infusing your Warlock's soul with some of their own deathlessness that is meant to grow within you. This likely would raise the ire of a staunch hater of the undead, as well as if you reveal your power comes from a powerful undead being. It may take a while to convince your cleric, druid, or paladin friend that your lich buddy is not evil, nor does he eat souls. Fiend. Generally, the packs have to do with corrupting the warlock or spreading corruption. Archfey. While individually unique, most of these packs I build around either the Fey gaining power or manipulation over one another. One of my favorite ones forced a player to find hags and not stop them but just check up on them and find out what they're up to if possible. But she got tossed into a pot by a night hag and boiled, so that didn't end well. Great Old Ones. These are the weird ones. I've had things like eating a coin a day or the Elder Gods using the Warlock to come closer to the material realm, to even just living vicariously through the Warlock. Undying. Depending on the power level of the Undying, I usually recommend this one if I want a Sith Apprentice feel for my players. My Warlock Kieran has one I love a lot. Deities, patrons in my universe are pretty retired and resigned. However, the one she managed to snag is pretty active. Maeve, the goddess of spirits and war. Her contract is very flexible, but occasionally Maeve will call on her for favors. Kieran has lots of magical talent and is therefore very involved in the business of harnessing and banishing souls, as well as cleansing battlegrounds. It's a simple pact, but Maeve is such a nice character and I kinda love the relationship. They're more friends than anything. I'm going to play a Drow Celestial Warlock in my brother's campaign soon. My character was abandoned as an infant in an enchanted forest. The forest's guardian, a unicorn, found and raised her. Now the unicorn serves as her patron, guiding her to do good and making the world a better place, which, as a drow, will hopefully be harder as everyone distrusts her. My patron is basically my mom trying to keep me on the right path while teaching me magic. The Pass is an Aasimar who was sold into slavery as a child after the devils had taken over the 9 hells. He was enslaved by a greater pit fiend that he only knew as the Over-General, who seemed to take favor with him. The Pass would beg and plead for years for the opportunity to live as he heard other people did on the material plane. Eventually, he curried enough favor with his master to allow him freedom to live out his days in freedom, quote-unquote. Of course, under one condition. The Pass must sign his soul over to the Over-General for eternity. While the Pass relented, as a short life of adventure against an eternity of torment was well worth risking when the alternative is servitude and the permanence of nothingness thereafter. Well, you could use the wish spell for something a little bit better there. I want to take his character on an arc that starts out as something of a paid vacation to ambition that he may become powerful enough to destroy his patron to save his soul, leading to his final decision of destroying the pact and losing his powers, or keeping his powers and forfeit his soul having tasted freedom. How will he live with his decision? Will he remain a party boy until old age? Will he die before he gets the chance to regain his soul? I'm excited for the possibilities. I'm playing a Warlock currently with the Great Old One that I've been vaguely sketched out as something like the Watcher of the Wood, I believe. Inspired a bit by Werenwood trees in a Song of Ice and Fire series, and generally wanting some creepy nature imagery. I think the patron may be the embodiment of vengeful nature, like all the sacred groves that have been cut down over time, trees that were home to other spirits or awakened trees themselves that were obviously destroyed by humanoids. The Watcher bears an ancient grudge against encroaching civilization and wants to have an influence on the material plane. My character is only 3rd level and doesn't yet understand that he's made a pact, he's opened a mysterious book, etc. But I think I will start receiving more visions and impulses to pour the blood of enemies on tree roots and whatnot, in a very old pagan gods kind of way. Maybe, possibly, there could be a path to becoming a druid in the future. Now this one's pretty good. One of my players in my campaign made a Warlock when we started Lost Mines of Phandelver, which, as anybody knows, I love that campaign. He said his patron would be one of the old ones. However, knowing that eventually they would be playing Storm King's Thunder after LMOP, which I love Storm King's Thunder as well, I secretly made his pact with the Kraken Slar Krethel. The MM, or Monster Manual, says that Krakens are sometimes worshipped like gods, i.e. the Kraken Society, and can possibly grant spells too. As he's been adventuring, he's been having visions of a tentacled beast, but he's assumed it's one of the Great Old Ones because, you know, tentacles. Over time, he has also started growing scales and small eyes all over his body. Eventually, he will be transformed into a Kraken priest from Volo's Guide to Monsters, and will have to choose between his party and his master during a pivotal moment in the game. I used to have Dendar as my Great Old One patron. I loved the whole Eater of Nightmares concept. My DM genuinely played it well and gave me messages through disturbing dreams. Some of those dreams we'd actually play out as combat scenarios that other players would get sucked into. My current Warlock is a Hexblade, and he worships the Chained Oblivion, Tharizdun. It's a pretty epic god to grant me power, but it's canon that he wants to be set free. And let's be fair, he has tons of minions that do his bidding, so either I got it from him or one of his demonic allies. I've always had it so my Warlocks owe something continuously though. Basically meaning there's always this control that the DM can have over you to throw you into the unexpected evils of the world. I also like that concept too. Relinquishing freedom is basically an old pact anyway, so letting the DM do it for you, that can throw in some real good curveballs. In my first campaign ever, I had a Warlock who made a pact with the Great Old Ones, but she's from a prehistoric civilization who revered them as gods. Things happened and she was transplanted to the modern setting, and people have completely forgotten the Old Ones. The quest her patrons have laid out for her is to make the Old Ones' enemies realize this mistake. So technically, her own people would have seen her as a cleric, but she simply has the Warlock spells, and in the modern setting, people refer to her as a Warlock, simply because they don't see her gods as gods anymore. Leads to some fun roleplay options with a character who is essentially a time-traveling cave woman. My present character has Faerna, Duchess of the 4th layer of Hell, as a patron. Playing into how she has been presented in previous editions, they met in a tavern. Amusingly, the pact was struck as a result of my character attempting to romance her. He mistook her as being another tiefling. Now what she technically wants is for my character to work as a priest, quote quote, and work towards forming a cult dedicated to her. My character is basically in over his head, which is part of the fun. My group is starting a brand new campaign this weekend. I'll be playing a Celestial Pact Warlock, whose pact is with a vestige of Mistral, the original goddess of magic in the Forgotten Realms. The vestige has recovered some of her original power, which had originally been vested in Larlock, as one of Mistral's chosen now wants back into the Goddess Club. She forgot her key and just wants another one. She forged a pact with my Warlock, granting him a shred of power. In return, his job is now to draw attention to Mistral. She can't reascend to divinity without worshippers, and to get worshippers, she needs to get her name out there. He's basically a used goddess salesman. I couldn't hold it. That was too good. That's actually an incredible concept here. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know down in the comments below. Who is your patron, and what does he do? You know I had to pull an Arnold reference because that was just screaming Arnold for us, right? Anyway, who is your patron? What makes them unique? Let us know. We love you all. See you next time. Bye for now.